Coming up tonight on YCN News, a shooting suspect in Springfield, Vermont is under arrest. The future of the former Keene Pumpkin Festival could be in Laconia. And New England governors are pledging to work together to meet energy needs. For more news, weather, and sports, it's time for YCN, your local view.
Now, your daily digest of the Dartmouth Lake Sunapee region, southern Vermont, and Windsor County. News, sports, weather, and all that is happening in our area. The news on YCN, your local view.
Good evening. It's Thursday, April 23rd. I'm Laura James. Welcome to YCN News. The man wanted as a shooting suspect in the shooting of a Springfield, Vermont man last weekend is now in police custody. Gregory Allen Smith was found today in Londonderry, Vermont. He was found at the home of another girlfriend, 25-year-old Wendy Morris of Springfield, Vermont. Morris is also in police custody. Springfield Police and the Vermont State Police Major Crimes Unit work this case. An announcement is expected in Laconia, New Hampshire tomorrow. An announcement that will mean the Board of Directors and Pumpkin Festival organizer Ruth Sterling are taking the Fall Festival to the Lakes region and not to Claremont. Leader of the group of concerned citizens of Claremont, Michael Charest, told Claremont City Councilors yesterday night that he could speak further to them hosting a pumpkin festival in this region. YCN News will update you on developments. Well, it's been on the minds of Claremont City leaders for at least a year. Now it is a reality. An old grain barn, most recently used for a pool supply company, is being demolished. The city is picking up the tab, about $50,000 earlier, and as required, bids were sent out to raise the structure, and it took a second round of bids to find the price the city could afford. This building is on Pleasant Street, and it is not far from the cemetery, and soon will fade into history. Turning to regional news now, the governors from each of 6 New England states are pledging to work together on regional energy challenges. New Hampshire Governor Maggie Hassan and Governor Peter Shumlin of Vermont joined their state counterparts in Hartford, Connecticut today. One item discussed how to make electric power available to residents and businesses at affordable rates. This will help the region maintain a strong, growing economy and keep the natural environment clean. Governor Hassan said this common goal will benefit each state. Coming up on YCN News, a walk in support of preventing domestic violence is coming up this weekend. New Hampshire Senator Jeanne Shaheen reacts on the approval of the new U.S. Attorney General. And we had a little bit of this, a little bit of that today. Weather-wise, these stories, weather and sports, all coming up when YCN News returns.
The YCN News continues in a moment.
Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Laura James. Well, domestic violence does not discriminate. Neither does schoolyard or classroom bullying. A person can become a victim despite a fairy tale wedding or a loving family. Well, a walk this weekend in Claremont will raise money to help support women and men whose abuse by a partner often goes unreported. Community educator Carrie Rochford-Haig from Turning Points Network explains.
Joining me is Carrie Rochford-Haig, who is the community educator at Turning Points Network, and there's a really important event tomorrow that we're going to talk a little bit about. So Carrie, stepping up to prevent violence, is that the...
Stepping up to end violence.
To end violence.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And in Claremont at the middle school?
It is. It begins and ends at the Claremont Middle School. It's a 5K walk and fun run, so it's a little over 3 miles, a downtown route through Claremont. There's also an alternate route. There's a shorter route, so if people want to come and participate but are not sure they can do the full 5K, it's a really fun event. It's a really inspiring event to see the community come together to support the work of Turning Points is really amazing, and it's such a great show of support for survivors, for people in our communities who, may be thinking about reaching out and feel very isolated. This is a chance to kind of see the community break that isolation and come together.
And your organization doesn't serve the Claremont. It serves the entire Sullivan County region, is that right?
That's right. We're one of 14 crisis centers in the state of New Hampshire, and we serve all of Sullivan County. We have an office in Newport and an office in Claremont, as well as an emergency shelter.
So the run supports all the activities that you do. Just so if people aren't aware of what you do, what are the things you do?
Sure. So this supports our direct services, our 24-hour crisis line. We have peer counseling at our offices, support groups, advocacy where we meet folks at court or police or medical. And it also supports our prevention education, which is the outreach that we do in the community, the work that we're doing in schools with students.
And if somebody were thinking, okay, I want to do this, but it's too late, I can't sign up, and can they just show up tomorrow?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's never too late. They can come, they can decide that morning, hey, I want to do this. They can sponsor themselves at any level. They could get pledges from family and friends, but come be a part of it and kind of see the community take this stand together.
And so when does the walk or run actually start?
So registration begins at 8:30, and then we have a rally at 9:45, and then the event begins at 10, and it's wrapped up by noon. So you have the rest of your day free.
So even if the weather's not going to be good, or if it's sunny, it's going to be fun to be out there and supporting a good cause.
It is. The one year that we had a lot of rain, I was amazed to see people come back smiling. They were wet and they were still smiling because I think they felt good knowing I've done something to make a difference in my own community.
Well, we hope there's a great turnout tomorrow.
For more information about Turning Points Network, check out the website freetosoar.org. Well, in New Hampshire state news, talks continue among lawmakers about approving casino gambling in the state near its southern border with Massachusetts. State Representative Karen Ebel, in an interview with YCN Capital Connections host John O'Connor, speaks to the issue.
We have a revenue problem in the state. I don't really care what a lot of people may say. I think there is a revenue problem in the state. I do not believe casinos are the way to solve it. I don't believe the revenue estimates. It may be money coming in, but you have to see what the other costs associated with that are. The Restaurant and Lodging Association opposed to it. A lot of businesses are opposed to it. We've been talking about substance abuse. We've been talking about crime. I mean, there's a lot of social impacts that are very difficult to quantify, but there have been studies, and the New Hampshire Center for Public Policy Studies said that if you don't have at least 40% of a tax on your revenues, you can't be bringing in enough to counteract all the addiction problems and, the gambling addiction, everything else. And the last, this version of it, I think, is about 33%. You compare that to the deal that Rhode Island cut, something like 60%, 50 or Pennsylvania. I mean, that shows you that there's more saturation, there's more competition, and even though the companies desperately want to get in here to build their casinos, they aren't so desperate they're going to give you 50% of their revenue.
To watch this interview with Representative Ebel in its entirety, tune into Capital Connections this weekend. Meanwhile, in other New Hampshire news, the number of residents without a permanent living situation declined 14% for the first time in 4 years. According to a survey by the state's Department of Health and Human Services, more people accepted help and found shelter, however temporary, than in previous years. There's more to be done, the survey tabulators agree. Not everyone accepted help. Department of Health and Human Services Commissioner Nicholas Toompa says that solutions must be found to help reduce homelessness among individuals and families. The statewide survey was conducted in a 24-hour period on January 28th, and that was in a point-in-time count. In national news, America has its first African-American Attorney General. 2 members of the Twin States congressional delegation comment on their support of Loretta Lynch. The Senate vote confirmed Lynch in a 56-43 vote. New Hampshire Senator Jeanne Shaheen says Lynch's credentials equal her commitment to public service. Shaheen and Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders agree. The nomination process Lynch endured was longer than it needed to be. Sanders thanked fellow Vermont Senator Patrick Leahy for helping to keep the nomination process moving forward despite what Sanders called an unprecedented level of Republican obstructionism. Lynch's confirmation took more than 5 months, longer than any attorney general in the nation's history. Coming up tonight on YCN News, restorative justice is heading the discussion with River Valley Chronicles' Elizabeth Tarazio. She spoke with Martha McLafferty of the Hartford Community Restorative Justice Center. That's coming up when YCN News continues.
The YCN News continues in a moment.
Welcome back to YCN News. I'm Mike Pizzone. It was another cool, wet, and windy day out there today, but it looks like things will start to clear up a bit as we head into the weekend. Skies will remain mostly cloudy tonight with a low of 33 degrees and winds maxing out at about 10 miles per hour. We should see some sun tomorrow despite more cloudy skies, with temperatures maxing out at about 47 during the day before reaching a low of 32 tomorrow evening. Saturday will be both brighter and warmer with partly sunny skies and a high of 53 degrees. Temperatures will bottom out at around 34 degrees Saturday evening with calming winds. Now let's take a look at our community calendar to see what's happening in the area. The General Federation of Women's Clubs of Southern Windsor County will be handing out free cupcakes tomorrow from 10 a.m. until noon at the Springfield Plaza in Springfield, Vermont, in honor of the organization's 125th anniversary. Visit gfwc.org for more information. The New England Classical Academy Drama Club will present Les Mis tomorrow and Saturday at 7 p.m. at the Claremont Opera House in Claremont, New Hampshire. The cost is $8 per ticket and can be purchased by calling the number on the screen. The annual Stepping Up to End Violence 5K Walk will be held Saturday at the Claremont Middle School in Claremont, New Hampshire, beginning at 10 a.m. Visit freetosoar.org for more information or to make a donation. April is a little early for teams to start thinking about how they'll stack up in their respective tournaments, but Fall Mountain softball coach Katie Hanito got a sneak peek yesterday of one of the top contenders in Division III.
The weather wasn't the only thing that made matters tough for the Fall Mountain softball team in its home opener yesterday, as it welcomed a Conant team to town that many tout to be a legitimate contender to win the Division III crown. And the Orioles showed exactly why expectations are so high, swinging their way to a 19-1 victory with help from a pair of home runs and a dominant performance from the circle. Ivy Chalk made things difficult on the Wildcats from the opening pitch, finishing with 12 strikeouts and 4 hits, including a solo home run in the top of the 5th inning. Orioles senior Maddie Springfield tallied her team's second homer later in the frame when she belted this offering from freshman Erin Devaney well over the left field fence. Amber Beliveau crossed the plate with Fall Mountain's lone run in the bottom of the 3rd after reaching on an error and scoring on a sacrifice bunt by Sophie Bushy. Wildcats coach Katie Hanito said her team knew it was in for a challenge heading into the contest and that she was thrilled with her team's defense against such a high-powered offensive opponent.
We knew coming in that they're going to hit the ball and hit it really hard. We talked about before the game really taking care of the ball. If we got it, making the plays that we could make when the ball was hit to us. They're going to hit. They're a very good team. They're 1 through 9 can play. So
Hanito added that she's been thrilled with what her team has showed her in its 1-2 start to the season, and that she sees plenty of potential going forward.
we have a lot of upperclassmen. We have some freshmen like Erin, who came in and pitched number 11. She's a freshman, and I thought she did really well. So we have a good mixture of an older crew and a younger crew coming up, and we're a solid softball team. We played Hillsborough last week, and we beat them 6-1, and we played amazing. Like every ball we got, we were making plays, and we're hitting the ball really well. It's just, I think as our season goes on, we're going to get a little bit stronger on the hitting side. So those are some goals that we're going to work on for the rest of the season, really making contact and finding our pitch, because I think that's one thing we struggle with. So looking for pitches that we can hit.
Fall Mountain will head back into action tomorrow when it travels to face Muskoma.
The Fall Mountain baseball team, on the other hand, fought its way to a narrow win over Conant behind some solid pitching from freshman Kendall Heath. He threw all 7 innings for the Wildcats, walking just 2 batters while striking out 5. Heath's brother Brandon came up big at the plate, finishing with 2 hits, including his first career home run. Fall Mountain is now 2-1 and will travel to face Muskoma tomorrow. The Newport softball team improved to 2-0 on the season with its win over Monadnock yesterday, benefiting from a 2-run homer by Katrina Batista well over the Huskies' 205-foot fence. Stephanie Carl earned the win from the circle, allowing 4 earned runs while striking out 8. The Tigers are back in action today against Muskoma. That does it for YCN Sports. I'm Mike Pizzone.
Thank you so much, Mike. Capital Connections' John O'Connor brings us part 2 of an interview with Carrie Rochford-Haig, community educator for Turning Points Network. She'll talk about how to stop bullying at school and other violence prevention issues when YCN News continues.
The YCN News continues in a moment.